Okay, a house on Pleasant Street channel. I am at my new house in the country, and what we're going to do today is we're starting a new project. And this is a brand new house, so it requires no inside work, unlike my other project houses. This one is brand new, but there's nothing outside. There's no landscaping, there's absolutely nothing. We are in the woods. So what we're going to start on today is a deck. I'm going to build a deck / extend the deck that came with the house. So contractor grade deck. It's a nice deck. It's covered, but it's very small. So the plan is to, you see how raw everything is. The plan is to build the deck on here against the back of the house and attach it to this little section, maybe on a diagonal, maybe square. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking on a diagonal. This deck will probably be about, what did I figure out? Maybe it's going to be 12 feet out this way because I bought dimensional lumber, 12 footers. 14s and 16s do not fit my little truck, so it's going to be a 12-ish and probably by about 24 or 30, however this pans out. This was my first load. There's about $1,800 worth of lumber there, so some framing. It's going to be a deck just on the ground, held up with blocks, so fairly simple. So let's get started. Let's lay out a couple sticks and see how we're going to go about doing this. Okay, end of day one, and the better part of the day was spent figuring out how to build this deck, how to lay it out. So I'm just using 12-foot dimensional lumber. It's built out of 2x6s. It's a deck that's very low to the ground. So what I did is I've got all my lumber 16 inches on center, and because of the way they line up with the existing deck, they land on the concrete foundation. So I've got those Tapconned into the concrete. So I've got one screw per bay into the concrete, and over here I made a little bit of a header, only made out of 2x6, but I doubled it up. And that's going to add like a little bit of a girder. And I've got some concrete blocks. And then I came back in here because the span was rather long. I put another structural member sort of down the middle, so the spans are shorter. So it should be plenty strong. All Woolmanized lumber, concrete blocks holding it up. This is part one. So essentially, I'm going to build this box. The AC unit is kind of in the way, so I made a break here. I'm going to build essentially the same thing on this side, and I'm going to join them together and then join this up here. Okay, that's all for now. Okay, well, this is day 2 of my deck build, and today I only have a few hours. So what I went and did is I built another box here, 12 feet by 12 feet, 16 inches on center. And it's just laying on the ground right now. So now I just got to figure out a way to shimmy it over and figure out my distances. And I'm going to jack it up a little bit down here. Tentatively level it up, and then I'm going to start drilling into the concrete to fasten it with some Tapcon screws. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, well, this is going to be the end of day 2. Again, this was just a short day. So what I got done, I got the second box done. All fastened to the house again with the Tapcon screws and tentatively leveled. And I've decided, I wasn't sure if I was going to join the two. I was going to carry on at the point where the heat pump was, but I decided against that. Because of the spacing of the boards, I decided to move it over here. And so that's going to be it for now. We'll come back out next time I'm going to install another center support and start aligning this up to make it match with the first one, and then I'm going to join them together. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. Either going to be some transverse pieces or anyway, I'm not sure yet. We'll see how that goes. Okay, catch you on the next one. Okay, well, this is day 3 of my deck build, and I did all of this off camera, and that's because I was struggling a little bit to figure out how to do this. But what I did is I joined my two 12-foot boxes, so they're now joined with this little section here, if you can see that. It's just kind of a little section floating in the middle, sandwiched on this side, sandwiched on this side, and then I went all the way as far as I could go, and of course that heat pump's in the way, so I ended up putting like some kind of a header across there with the other joists kind of joining up to it, screw it in from the other side. So it's relatively sturdy, not as ideal as if it was all the way to the concrete and anchored in with the concrete screws, but what can you do? That thing's in the way and is what it is. So so I've got these joined up, I've got it leveled, and after that what I did is I put a little girder underneath, or a support running this way, and unfortunately because of the lay of the land, the soil is higher here than it is over there, so I was unable to put a 2x6 underneath. Well, I wanted a 2x6 just like down there, but I ended up, the only thing I could fit under was a 2x4, so I doubled them up. It's only a 2x4, but it doesn't really matter because I made the spans very short. So I got a large patio block here, I got a large patio block here, or patio stone, so the span here is very short, so that should be fine, and the span over here is very short, and it's all attached to this section here, riding on this deck block, so that should be fine. Now for back here, I had this idea to break up these patio stones and put little pieces underneath, but I'm going to scrap this idea. This looks absolutely hideous, and although it would probably work, I kind of like this idea better. So I went out and I bought I think they call these hollow blocks, 4-inch hollow blocks or 3-inch, whatever. These are like $2 a piece. Even here in Canada, they were cheap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide one of these under every 2x6, and that'll be my support. There's just no room under there. There's no room under there for a 2x4 even. We're almost touching soil at that point. I mean, it is a deck on the ground. I want to make it as much off of the ground as I can to keep the wood from rotting, but kind of is what it is at this point. This is pretty much the end of the deck, and it is very low to the ground, lower here than it is over there. But this is my idea for the boxes, and the reason why I kind of explained before already. I'm going to try to, I sound long-winded, I know, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to replicate the little deck that's already on the house, and this has the deck boards with a ribbon that goes all the way around, and my idea is to have the ribbon corresponding over here. So basically have a ribbon coming out here, which would come all the way out and overhang, and from this point over I would have my boards running this way, so I could put standard 12-footers this way all the way, and wherever the 12-footer ends I would have another vertical coming out this way and then wrapping around, and then same over here. Once this deck board was this way, then on this side I would have another group of 12-footers going this way, so I don't have to cut them or do anything. It's harder this way, it's more complicated. I could have just ran my boards willy-nilly and staggered them and called it a day, but I'm going to try to make sort of these boxes with the ribbon all around. So I want to have 1, 2, and then I want to come back here, and the idea is to make this probably starting somewhere over here where that ribbon will come, make that go to that corner and have like a triangle and have the same kind of effect going like this, going all the way to that corner and wrapping around, and then having the fence boards that sort of go on a 45. That's my pipe dream anyway. I don't know if I'll be able to achieve it. So it would look like the boards are coming this way, coming to a break, then turning on a 45, coming to a break, and then going this way, corresponding to what's already there. So what I have to do now, obviously this board belongs here, but it obviously can't just stay like that because the other one will have to butt in. And if the other one butts in, it needs a support. So this has to be built out. This has to be built out or blocked. Wherever the 2x12 lands, that has to be built up or blocked. So that's what I'm going to work on right now. Once I get this done, it's a lot of fiddling, a lot of figuring out. But once I get this done, it's just a matter of throwing boards down and screwing them in. And that should be the fun part. If I measured right, it should all go pretty quick. Let's do this blocking up and see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna call this end of day 3. So with my measurements, as you can see, there's my border, 12 foot. Actually, it's gonna be a longer piece here. I bought 14 footers because it's gonna have to extend, but I'm gonna use 12 feet all the way across. Another long piece this way, another full 12 foot that way. And then there's going to be a ribbon going around that edge, so I've added some extra blocking. So the deck over here grew by a few more inches. I added some blocking in the middle here to support this board. I've added some blocking, quite a bit. I snuck a few of them are 2x6s, a few of them are 2x4s. Anyway, it's plenty strong. Plenty of meat for the wood to rest on. This one here, I went a little overkill on this one, but you can see it's what you call a little overkill for a deck. But the way things were lining up, I want this board to be here. That's where my border is going to be, in line with the corner post of the house. So, not doing this part yet. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back tomorrow, or part 4, and I'm just going to start laying the boards out. See if my idea works, if my pattern works. I came back and I added some more center supports. Just those concrete blocks. They're kind of jammed under there. They're jammed under there. It's a little bit rustic, but like I explained, there's not enough clearance to add more lumber. That's going to be plenty strong. You're never going to see it. It does look on the rustic side, but I think it's going to work, and that's how I'm doing it. Probably a lot of people wouldn't agree, but so be it. Yeah, I'm going to call it for tonight. I'm going to come back tomorrow and start laying some boards, and hopefully I measured right, and hopefully we can make this pattern. Okay, day 4. Let's start laying the boards. I think I'm going to do this in fast motion. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, well, as you can see, this was my idea, and it's working fairly well. I've got the, once everything was level and lined up, I put my 2 verticals off the house like I was talking, and then it's just a matter of dropping in the 12-foot lengths in between. So now, of course, I got to come back and make sure that the spacing's good and put all the screws down. So this took no time at all. So now we got to put the screws down. That will take some time, and then we're going to go over and we're going to do the other. We're going to do the other half, and then we're going to tie them all in the front with the ribbon. And then once that is done, where am I? Where am I here? Right there. Once that is done, then I got to come back and do the framing for this. How's it going? Like this. This angled piece. It's going to go from the corner to this corner. All right, let's put some screws down. Okay, we'll call this end of part 4. And you can see that all the boards are now screwed down. And my little pattern worked pretty good. So of course there's still more to do. You gotta fill around the edges and put the border around. But for the most part, that's kind of in place. And it's sturdy, it's level, you can walk on it. The boards line up pretty good. So now, the next thing I'm going to do is try to tackle this arrangement here, where I want to fill in this area, but on a diagonal. Okay. Okay, it's a couple hours later. I've got my triangle framed out, and a couple different options here. Ideally, I was going to take this piece and it was going to tie in over here to the edge of the vertical, or not the vertical, but the transverse piece. Then I realized that was really going to make this triangle really narrow, really small. So I decided to bump it out to the original corner. And then what that did is it kind of changed what I was going to do. Because this is bumped out, ideally the pieces were going to go sort of on a 45. But now that they got to come further out this way, I've changed my mind and I've gone to plan B. And these weren't going to be able to be 45s anyway. because this is
And
not
this part is where I need
this is
to
not an equilateral.
figure out this corner.
Jeez, is that the word?
And join
this
it
is not an
onto here.
equilateral.
I went out and I bought.
This is
I
not
bought
an
some
even
more
triangle.
lumber. I mean, my giant pile of lumber really went
So
down.
a
when I
perfect
put these
45
boards
would
down,
not fit anyway.
obviously.
The angle here would
I
be
went out
different
and
than
I
that
bought
one.
a little bit
So
more
what I'm going to
lumber.
do instead,
I'm at
is,
around the $2,600
I'm going to continue
mark.
the boards out this way.
What I need to do
So
now
they're going to come out this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. So they're going to be a continuation of what was already there. And then they're just going to they're going to be parallel with that edge piece. So was not my initial plan, but I think it's going to work just as well. And I'm gaining an extra foot of deck over here. I would have had to chop this up and sort of push this back. So this way here, I'm gaining a little bit of square footage, and I'm not wasting as much wood. So so be it. Not exactly the
boards sort of on a 45.
The vision I had, but I think it's going to work just
like
fine.
They're coming.
And
my idea is
I've
that they're
got
coming
this
this
pretty
way,
well supported here.
45 and then going that way.
I've been walking all over it, so I think that's going to be fine. So,
however,
I got to figure out my border now. I still want to do a little border piece that comes out, and then a border that runs this way. So it's not just going to be boards, or maybe it is.
Not going to work.
Could have been just boards that come out that are chopped up this way on the open end. But I think I'm going to still try to do how they had it with a
much longer
edger. So that's what I'm going to figure out now.
This
try to
one
lay a
was
piece
also
down here,
cut on a 45.
And lay a piece across
maybe
here.
222s, whatever.
And I can do my
if
fillers.
both were cut, it would
so
be
it'll be maybe a little bit easier too, because it's going to be a square end over here.
No, I had my idea.
And I'm only going to have to cut one angle
line up like this
down this end, so I won't be cutting two angles.
It can't. It can't
so,
because
yeah, plan B, but I think it's okay. So let's see how this develops.
Hopefully nobody will look at this too closely. So the lines will not line up, but this is what I'm going to do. So it'll come this way, parallel to the house, and then parallel this way. So perfect square, and this will be a 45 in between. That's how I'm going to do these. So let's get started. Yeah, a couple chipmunks. Huh. Okay.
All right, the deck is finally done, and there it is. So it's tied in with the existing, and like I said, I did have to add a little board that I ripped down. I ripped this one down to 4 inches. I don't think it looks bad. I think it's fine. It's in line with the other board against the house that I also had to rip down. So there's my final deck. I like it. I came back, I trimmed all around here. I trimmed all in here as well. So this turned out good. I'm happy with it. So this was my idea, and kind of made it happen. Now we'll probably be adding on to this deck in the future, but for now this is the deck. let's see, 12 and a bit, about 12 and a half. 2 times 12, 24. So it's probably about 12 and a half by 30, including the triangle. That's another 10 feet. So it's a good sized deck. Nice and level, just built on the ground. Still got to do a little bit of cleaning up here. But there it is. Okay, well, this is the final day of the deck build. And it's kind of a crappy day. It's been raining sort of either a step and down or some kind of. So what I've done is I've got the perimeter into the woods all in place. But that's for future. For now, this project is complete. I came back with the 1x8 all around. The transverse pieces are in and screwed down. That's where I'm at. I'm going to forge ahead. Catch you on the next one. It's not very nice out.